Hi, I'm Gary White for Channel 6 Central Kentucky Television. I'm at the Nelson County Extension Office, and I'm here with Abby Van Meter. And today, we're going to make some amazing pancakes. Healthy, amazing pancakes,
Healthy
right?
pancakes with sweet potatoes in them.
Yeah, from the 2017 Food and Nutrition Calendar that is put out by the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service.
Yes.
And this is the March recipe.
Hey. So we're a little late into March, but I wanted to get that one in because it's a really good recipe. And it's a little different take on pancakes, and it's a healthy option. So
cool.
Wanted to get that in.
And they're amazing.
They're amazing. They're called amazing pancakes, so we can't miss that. And they do have sweet potatoes in them, which gives you a vegetable early in the morning. We try to get a lot of vegetables into our diets, and sometimes it's really hard in the morning to get vegetables in. So I think another recipe in the calendar is a beet smoothie, which is actually really good. So we'll probably do that at some point. So that's another way to get vegetables in.
So they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Right.
Being in nutrition, is that true? Dietitian.
Yeah, I think it is important. It kind of gives you a good start to the day, helps you focus better. It's been shown that kids who eat breakfast have a lot better concentration, do well on exams, that kind of thing, and the same with adults. So it really does give you a good start, but you want to make sure you're not just eating a lot of sugar for breakfast or, something that doesn't have a lot of protein, because then it's just going to do more harm than good. So you want to make sure you're eating a balanced breakfast with lots of fruit or vegetables, some protein, low-fat milk, eggs, that kind of thing.
Okay, great. So we're going to make some amazing pancakes.
That's right. So we're going to start with our dry ingredients. So that's going to be a cup of self-rising flour. And if you don't have self-rising, you can always use the all-purpose, add a little baking powder and salt.
Okay.
Then we're going to do a half a cup of wheat flour. So that's another healthier substitute. You wouldn't want to use all whole wheat because it does have a different taste, but if you kind of mix it up, you're getting a few more whole grains into your diet.
Okay.
We're also going to add in 2 tablespoons of sugar, so a relatively low amount of sugar for 12 pancakes, right?
Is this going to make 12, you said?
It's going to make 12 pancakes, yes.
Okay, right.
Depending on the size, of course. I'm sure if you make them very jumbo, then they wouldn't be that many. A teaspoon of cinnamon, and then we're going to stir that together. And then we're going to add in some pecans. Now, if you do not like nuts or you're allergic to nuts, of course, that's an optional add-in, but
I love pecans.
And they go really well with the sweet potatoes, that kind of sweet flavor, so I think it's a very good compliment.
What's your favorite nut?
I really like almonds.
That's my favorite too. Yeah, I love almonds.
Yeah, almonds are good, but pecans are good too.
Yeah, I do like pecans as well.
So we're going to go on and sprinkle those in here.
What's your least favorite nut?
I'm not a big hazelnut fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I mean,
do you like chocolate?
I do like chocolate. I do. And I really like, the Nutella. So I guess I kind of like hazelnut, but
not the actual nut itself.
I like chocolate-covered almonds. Those are good.
Really
those are like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So those are our dry ingredients, and we're going to kind of set that aside for now. Then we're going to move on to our wet ingredients. Now, the recipe doesn't say to use a blender, but in the past when I made it, the sweet potatoes it's very hard to get them smoothed out. So if you don't want anything lumpy in your pancakes, which I don't think is very good.
Lumpy pancakes?
Yeah, I don't think that's very good. So I have found that it's easier just to throw it all in the blender. If you don't have a blender, you can do it in a bowl, just, maybe mash your sweet potatoes before. But if you have a blender, it's a lot easier just to kind of throw it all in.
Okay.
So we're going to put in 3 eggs that have been beaten. And I guess using the blender, you probably wouldn't have to beat them because it's going to... It's probably going to do,
beaten as well.
Yeah. A cup of fat-free skim milk, or whichever kind you have at home. And the good thing about this is a lot of these ingredients, maybe minus the sweet potatoes, are things that you have in your pantry. So you don't have to go out and buy a whole lot of ingredients just to make pancakes.
Right.
1 tablespoon of vanilla.
Okay.
2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, I think that is interesting because usually in baking or anything sweet, you're going to use more of a canola or vegetable oil.
Right.
But this recipe calls for olive oil, and it seems to work well. So I guess they know what they're doing.
Yeah, and they have a little tip here in the calendar about using oils like canola, olive, and others instead of solid fats like butter and stick, margarine, shortening, lard, or coconut oil.
Right. So anything that's going to be a vegetable-based oil is going to be healthier and lower in saturated fat than your butters and lards and that kind of thing. And then we're going to carefully put in our sweet potato. Now, I think the recipe calls for a cup A cup of sweet potatoes. I just used one large sweet potato and cooked it, so, you know.
So okay.
So you can do whatever. Yes, you do need to cook the sweet potato first.
Now, is that just adding a flavor, or is that is that being a substitute for something else you would normally put in
It's
a
just,
pancake?
I think it's just adding like a flavor and a vegetable kind of thing to
Okay,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not, you know, a lot of times you can put applesauce in the place of butter.
Right.
That kind of thing. But this is just kind of just increasing the nutritional value.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we're going to blend this really quick. And so that's a lot easier than trying to stir it, I
Absolutely.
think. Just make sure after you do this, you want to make sure you wash your blender very well, since there were the raw eggs in there.
Oh, right.
And you typically use your blender for smoothies and things
Beet
you're not going to
smoothies.
cook. Right. So you want to make sure it's washed well.
Put it in the dishwasher or something?
Yes. So then we're going to put our liquid ingredients into our dry ingredients.
Okay.
And then you're going to want to stir just until it's all moistened together and mixed together. You don't want to over stir, because that's going to make your pancakes hard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're just going to pour it in there. Set that aside.
Okay. So you're going to, like, stir instead
Yeah,
of
you want to
fold.
stir, right.
This is your way.
And so the batter is pretty thick once you get it finished. And just get all the flour mixed in. Yeah.
And this is going to make 12 pancakes.
12 pancakes, right.
They say it has prep time of about 10 minutes.
Right.
Cook time of about 15 minutes. And we'll make 6 servings because it's 2 pancakes each.
Right.
Okay. Cost per recipe is $3.45. Cost per serving is only 58 cents.
Right.
That's
So it's
pretty
a
good.
very cheap recipe.
Yeah. That's good.
And if you didn't have the sweet potatoes and you wanted to go on and try it at home, you know, you could always leave them out. You could also add pumpkin in, would be kind of an
Okay.
additional substitute. You can actually get pumpkin in a can. So that's, you can maybe have that in your pantry, and I think it would give it the same kind of flavor, just a little different.
Right.
And then you're still getting those vegetables.
And the color
And the
is
color.
a little darker.
It's a little darker.
than
So that's because of the sweet potatoes, and then also the whole wheat flour is going to make it a little darker.
Right.
But I would say mainly the sweet potatoes.
So does the whole wheat flour make it a little more dense as
It
well?
does make it a little dense. So that's why that's why we used more of the self-rising, the all-purpose, you know, kind of flour, because if not, it would be very dense and kind of chewy almost.
Huh.
So that's.
But they look good.
Yeah. So that's mixed, and then we're gonna go on and we're gonna use this griddle. You could just use a regular pan. Make sure you spray it with some spray.
Because it can stick.
It can stick.
I've done that before.
Yes. It's not fun. So we're gonna just put a little on there.
Pancakes can be hard to get up when
Yes.
and they stick. And hard to clean.
So whenever I'm making them, I usually try to make them smaller, just because, especially if you're feeding a large group, you know, maybe 3 smaller ones would be a better option. So whatever you prefer. So we're gonna cook these up, and just like normal pancakes, you want to wait till they kind of start bubbling around the edges. You don't want to keep flipping them because that makes them hard as well. I have a little bit of patience problem there, so I tend to want to overflip, but just flip them once if you can help it.
So how do you know when to, you say it's bubbles around the outside? or
Around the
something?
sides, and the sides
Okay.
kind of get brown.
That's when you should
That's when you should flip.
flip.
Right, and it actually, I think, describes that in the calendar. So when the outer surface begins to bubble, that's when they need to be flipped.
Yeah. Drop batter, cook until golden brown, turning once with a spatula. When the surface begins to bubble.
Yeah.
See, it's right there. Look at that.
Yeah, so that's really good, because some recipes, especially with so many recipes out there online and other places, sometimes you get into the, you know, directions and it doesn't make sense, or you don't understand what it means. So the recipes that we provide are very, very, you know, user friendly. I think they give you lots of tips. A lot of them will give you things, you know, that you can add, or it even tells you how to make it into a meal. So you see this great recipe, but then you think, well, what could I have with that to make it into a meal?
Well, that sounds good. Some turkey bacon, yogurt, and orange juice.
Yeah, so that would be a very balanced breakfast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And you can get these calendars
Right.
from the extension offices in any of the 3
Right,
counties
yeah.
where we are.
And we are running a little low on calendars. We've actually given a lot away. But don't worry, we have all the recipes online that we can print out and give to you.
Okay, cool.
So I think we might have a few calendars left. I'm sure some of the other offices do as well.
Yeah.
But we would be happy to find the recipe
And we
for
have
you.
a couple at our office
Yeah.
as well, too. So if you want one, let us know.
There's
We'll
some really,
pass
really
it.
good recipes in there. I've tried most of them, and they're all really good. So it's a
Very
good
good.
calendar.
Very good.
All right, so we see that it's kind of starting to bubble.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to go on and flip it.
Oh, looking good.
So it is, you know, depending on, I know some children are a little, you know, they don't want anything burnt. So kind of, you know, you want to make sure you're cooking it where your family will like it. But I think this is a good, nice golden brown.
Oh, yeah, no, it looks good.
Right, and so you're going to let the rest of it, the other side cook just the same.
And rising up.
Yeah.
And then, of course, to me, the best part of it is doused in syrup.
Yeah.
So what's your suggestion there?
Right. So there are some other options. With this, since it does have a lot of the sweet potato and kind of that already that flavor, maybe try it a little plain just to see.
Crazy.
If not, I know that is crazy. If not, I think that honey goes really well with it. So it kind of has the same consistency of syrup. It is a lot healthier. And it's going to give it a little of that sweet syrupy taste, but not with all the sugar. Or you can also find sugar-free syrup. And a little goes a long way, so maybe reduce the amount of syrup you use. But syrup is good. But you don't want to make, you know, a healthy breakfast. And that's
Right,
what I think a
right.
lot of people do. You know, they mean well, they try to be healthy, but then there's some small things that they could do that would really go a long way. So try honey instead.
Yeah, that's like the person who says, I have a salad every meal.
Right.
But yes, but most of it's dressing.
Dressing. It's all dressing. Right. So, right.
So, yeah. So again, these are amazing pancakes. It's the March recipe in the 2017 Food and Nutrition Calendar with the Extension Office. They look really good.
Yeah. Just pour a little honey on there and they'll be okay.
Okay.
You don't
sounds
need
good.
any syrup.
I've been here with Abby Van Meter at the Nelson County Extension Office. It's Gary White for Channel 6 Central Kentucky Television.